Have you ever wondered how you can make your actions and your words to match? For you to do what you mean, what you want to do, or say what you actually mean. I've just realized that sometimes we can say things that we don't mean, and we can do things that translate in a different way than what we are trying to communicate. I'll give you an example. People say actions speak louder than words, but I find that sometimes when you are angry or scared or intimidated, you can act, against the your personal will. I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. If someone is scared, they might be withdrawn. They might think that they don't have enough words to express themselves, and so they can just keep quiet. Do they want to keep quiet? Not necessarily, but they feel defeated before they can actually speak. So if you're saying actions speak louder than words, you might confuse what the withdrawal from them feeling defeated by the conversation. You can confuse that and think that they might be rude, they might be arrogant. You might confuse it with many other things. And so I'm just sharing my thoughts because I find that in many instances, I do not align my words with my actions or my body language, or my words with my thoughts. I can think something else totally different and say something that's totally different, and there could be many reasons for that. So for instance, someone could say, I don't like going, but don't find a courage to say, I don't like going, and they would just say yes and they would go. Now, you may think things like pretense is a thing. You can also think being unauthentic and being a people pleaser can lead you to say things that you don't mean or do things that you don't mean to do. And I can understand that sometimes we get under pressure because of the people around us, because of our peers, to actually do things that we don't mean. So how do we match the three things? Because at the same time, the saying that says action speaks louder than words, it's because we believe in the notion that when you are immersed in a certain belief and you are saying something that contradicts that certain belief, you would actually act according to your belief other than what you're actually saying. Meaning, if I say I love you and I do not actually mean that I love you in my heart, I don't mean that, I will most likely act according to what is in my heart than what my words are saying. So as a communicator, you would want to marry the three things. You want to say what you mean, you want to do what you mean, and the thoughts that you have, because you trust that those are good thoughts, you want to translate them into your actions. It doesn't matter if you are a person who is struggling to do something, and in your mind, you know you shouldn't be doing it. And in your mind, you know that you need to be doing something else, but not translate that into your actions. Or think it, say it, but not do it. So you need to marry the three. Now, I have four things that I want to share with you. This comes, as a practice. It comes with a practice. You must make sure that you get familiar with saying what you mean, even when it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you, as kids, when we are growing up, we love pretending or mimicking other people. But there comes a time where we need to own our actions, own our words. And sometimes as we grow older, we tend to just realize how easy it is to pretend that we are something that we are not, because then we don't take responsibility of who we are. We don't own our words, we don't own our actions, because quite frankly, we're imitating someone else. And so if you want to really be a person who is honest, who is authentic, learn to say what you mean. Don't say no if you want to say yes. Don't say yes when you want to say no. Let your no be your no. Let your yes be your yes. All right? That's the first thing. If you are not happy about something, don't just keep quiet or say you are happy when you are actually not. When you are sad about something, communicate that. Do not say something that contradicts what is in your mind, what is in your thoughts. So surround yourself with people that are not afraid to speak out. No, I'm not now talking about people that are rude, that are direct and disrespectful. I'm talking about people that are assertive. That's different. Two different things. People who are assertive, they are self-aware and they know what they need to communicate, how and when. And so that's that. And then the second thing is, do what you intend to do. For instance, I'll make an example that most of us are struggling with: waking up in the morning. Well, I'm a morning person, so I don't really I don't struggle to wake up, but I'm just making an example that I know that most people are familiar with. If you're a person, you are not a morning person, and you need to be, up by 6, and you know this is exactly what you need to do to start your day, and you said you would wake up at 6, guess what? Do what you said you would do. Wake up at 6. Wake up at 6. Did you say you were going to be at this meeting at 8? Be at the meeting at 8. Did you say you were going to stop eating carbs? Then stop eating carbs. So be a person that matches their commitment with their actions. Don't just commit with your mouth, but commit with your actions. What I find with just letting this become a habit, it comes with practice. I find that it becomes second nature. If you keep practicing it, saying what you mean, doing what you said you would do, it becomes second nature. You start to feel a discomfort when you are saying something that you don't mean, or you are committing to something that you know very well you're not going to do. It's like me saying, I'm gonna join a running club. I don't like to run. I don't enjoy running. So I will not make such commitments because I know I will not live up to that commitment. Well, I did do it once and I learned the hard way. I'm not a runner. Anyway, so don't say and not do. It becomes a habit, it becomes a bad habit, and it offends people around you, and it inconveniences you, because then you feel guilty, feel disorganized, feel like you're a failure. So it's rather you don't commit, think it through, process it, and then be sure, and then commit. You cannot go around committing and not doing. That's just not good. And then the third one is self-talk. You have to, there is another video where I talk about self-talk, but you have to be disciplined. You have to be self-controlled. You have to give explanation to yourself. There's a particular way where a self-talk empowers the individual to be themselves, to be comfortable with hard conversations, to be comfortable with how they think, how they perceive their worldview, and why they do what they do. You have to self-talk and understand yourself in such a way that you can explain your actions, you can explain your ideas. You know, you cannot always be doing something to make up for what didn't happen. And so when you do that with other people and you can't do that with yourself, then you are not empowering yourself. I don't know if I'm making sense, but my point is self-talk will help you not to make excuses. Self-talk, because you are already trying to make sense of your own behavior, trying to make sense of your own actions. And so you don't just all the time explain after why this happened like this, because you already had that conversation with yourself. And then the fourth thing is be bold. You know what? There has been times in my life where I felt like I needed permission to speak. I needed permission to do this and that. And sometimes that can cripple us when we are in positions where we need to make decisions, when we are in positions where we need to take full responsibility. Sometimes it could be scary. It can be, we can feel very vulnerable, as if we still need another person to still approve our decisions, to still, affirm our decisions. And so we need to be bold. Be bold to own the thoughts that you thought, the ideas, the massive ideas. Other people were not so fortunate to grow in the environment that nurtured their thinking process, where their thoughts were celebrated, where their ideas were celebrated. And so they grew up thinking they cannot voice their opinions. Even our education system, you needed to answer the questions in a certain manner, so that you pass. And so you never, got to own your thoughts. And so this process requires you to be bold. Be bold, be assertive. Do not, just allow yourself to roll over. If the conversation becomes hard and complicated and heated sometimes, do not shrink back. Rather, pace yourself, breathe, pause before you think, but follow through. Don't be resentful of those that can express themselves just because you are not bold to voice out your opinion. Practice your gestures. I've learned that when you want to do something in public, really, you can't just go out and do it in public. You have to practice it, in the privacy of your own home, front of the mirror. Practice your gestures. How do you feel? How do you look? How does your face look when you are scared? How does your face look when you are frustrated, when you are angry, when you are irritated? How does your face look when you are happy? How does it lit up? Which face do you prefer? And you can wear these faces because you are able to see yourself in the mirror. You are able to picture yourself even when you are having the most controversial conversations. You are still able to keep your peace. When you know when you've done well, and give yourself a break. When you've done all that you can, be comfortable by saying, well, that didn't work out, but at least I was bold. Praise yourself, practice your different tones, practice your, I always wondered what really makes me be afraid to be bold and step up. I realized that it's my thoughts. It's the thoughts that I think before I actually do something that sabotage me. And so you have to study the pattern, the thought pattern before you do things that require you to be bold and courageous. What is it that comes to mind? With me, it would be normally people's voices and people's faces, particular people. And I would ask myself, why this particular person? And I realized that those particular individuals, they had somehow became a critical voice within me. They've become someone who's very critical of me, and so it makes me shrink back. It makes me feel nervous, lose my words, and I start to stutter. I start to lose my vocabulary. But it's not about, most of the time, if not all the time, it's not about what I need to be doing. It's actually the irrational thoughts that come, flooding in my head just before I do something that's bold. And so that I don't get, crippled by those thoughts, I need to monitor how I think, and then empower myself, find ways to interrupt those thoughts. I use self-talk when I feel like, my critic is having a party in my head. To interrupt the party and bust the bubble, I have to do a self-talk and say, what's wrong? Are you comfortable? Why are you so uncomfortable? What's happening? And then I talk to myself and make sure that I bring myself back into my position, into self-awareness, so that I am assertive and in that moment. So that's about it. How do you match your thoughts with your actions and your words? Make sure these things are in agreement, because most of the time, sometimes we are too scared to actually allow ourselves to be vulnerable and talk what we think, act as we feel, as we think. And so 4 things: say what you mean, do what you intend to do, self-talk, empower yourself, be bold. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this very helpful. You can subscribe, you can like and share this channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.